was trying to think of a French accent, but I'm just not even going to attempt it.
No, give it a go.
Welcome to... No.
That was so bad.
I can't think of what a French accent is.
I'm so
Bonjour.
sorry.
Welcome to... There we go, got it. Welcome to Ask a Reporter. We are in Paris.
We're not in Paris.
No, but... Well, you're in a costume.
I'm costumed because I thought I'm going to dress up as the Prime Minister today.
Oh.
Malcolm Turnbull. Well,
what am I?
Well, you're supposed to be the deputy Prime Minister.
I think I misunderstood the whole dressing up thing.
Yeah, so
I just thought
if you saw
this looked nice.
That's not how we're doing this. So if you saw our coalition story in the past week, and I'm hoping you did because you're watching Ask a Reporter now, you'll have seen there was a bit of a Western theme going on with the deputy. We had badges, and it was fun, and I always liked dressing up as a cowboy when I was a kid, so great excuse.
Yes.
Whereas Amelia has just decided that she's going to be a French person.
Someone said dress up, so I found a hat. I guess
Missed
I just,
the point entirely.
Oh, well, goodbye, beret.
As Prime Minister, I won't stand for this. And I'm just walking out.
No. Come back.
Enjoy Ask a Reporter.
That makes me Prime Minister, you see, because I am the deputy in this situation.
Well, that is something that we will be talking about.
We will be talking about that. Well, anyway, that was our terrible introduction. Welcome to this week's Ask a Reporter, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amelia.
I'm Matt.
And let's do this, shall we? All right.
Yes,
well, we have heaps of great questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. And yes, despite me missing the point, we are talking about Matt's story, which did start off with a Western theme.
Yes.
How'd you pick that? There's a question from me.
Well, I picked that because we wanted to talk about the new Deputy Prime Minister, and Western theme made sense. Deputy, like a deputy sheriff. So I really got stuck onto the deputy thing there. So that's what we went with. Did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Oh, I thought you were asking me. You're asking them. Sorry.
I
hope you guys liked it.
You can answer that too. You already have.
I liked it.
I liked it because of the music, especially. The music makes it fun.
Yes, and those awesome graphics.
Yeah, they're really cool.
They're really cool.
Thanks, Ruth.
All right. Ruth is our graphics person.
Yes.
She's sitting somewhere behind us and probably listening and smiling happily.
Are you waving, Ruth? Wave again.
We can hear her in the background.
There you go.
She's waving. There
Hi,
she
Ruth.
is.
That's Ruth who does our wonderful graphics.
So a very important part of our team. All right. Well, let's talk about this.
Yes.
We have Jai, who says, who is the leader of the coalition?
Yes.
And what does that leader do? And they're from Alvi Consolidated School. Thank you so much for asking a question, Jai.
And it's a really good question because it's a really important question. The answer, the leader of the coalition is the Prime Minister. It's Malcolm Turnbull. So the way that the coalition is kind of set up between the Liberal Party and the Nationals is that because the Liberal Party gets a much bigger chunk of the overall votes, at least on a national level, that the leader of the coalition overall comes from the Liberals, so in which case that's Malcolm Turnbull. And it means that he's the Prime Minister because here in Australia we don't vote for a Prime Minister, we vote for a party, and that party decides who's going to lead it. So that means that our PM is Malcolm Turnbull because he's the leader of the Liberal Party, basically.
Yeah, great question. All right, so...
It's a really good question.
Can we ask, is the Prime Minister better than the Deputy? And that's from Nathan from GPPS.
Is the Prime Minister better? I mean, it depends on what that is. I'm sure Malcolm Turnbull has some particular skills, maybe in certain areas that Michael McCormack doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he's very good at bowling. Maybe, I mean, he wears leather jackets quite well. I know that about him.
He does wear a nice leather jacket.
But overall, it's not necessarily better, but he's definitely more powerful because he's the Prime Minister and he's the overall leader of the coalition. So it's a more powerful, more important job. And the Deputy PM, even though it's an important role, doesn't have anywhere near the same amount of responsibilities as if you were the Prime Minister.
That's true. If you were in the National Party, though, perhaps you might potentially prefer your leader, right?
Well, yeah, you might do.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's not the agreement.
So. That's not the agreement. You probably would prefer, if you were the Nationals, to have the Prime Minister being from the National Party. But most of the time, that's not how it works.
No, that's it. All right. So, can you tell me all my things doing
in
a
saying
thing?
that, if the National Party won a lot of seats, so if they outnumbered the Liberals in the next election, for instance, they would probably have pretty good grounds to say, hey, the Prime Minister's coming from our side, buddy. And then we could very well have a Nationals Prime Minister.
Yeah, there you
I think that would be a very surprising turn of events.
It
but
would be.
It could hypothetically happen, and it has definitely happened at a state level. So in different states where the Nationals tend to get a few more votes than Liberals.
Now, Aubrey from Atlantis Beach Baptist College, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your question, Aubrey. Why are politics so complicated, and how important is it for the two parties to agree?
Yeah, politics can be really complicated, and it's definitely important, at least in a coalition, for the parties to agree on the big major decisions, because I guess the whole point of having a coalition is that as individual parties, they might not necessarily have enough votes to make new bills happen, new laws, new things being introduced. So they need each other's support.
Yeah.
So they need to have a lot of views that they share in order to make that work. They can still have differing ideas and they can still vote on different things, but you kind of need to have some decent big things you agree on.
Yeah. So if we're imagining right now that potentially Matt is the Prime Minister and I am the deputy.
Yeah.
If I said,
I'm fine with that arrangement.
Hey, not going to really, necessarily do this today. I don't really want to do Ask a Reporter. Matt would say, well, come on, Amelia, we need to do it.
Get it together.
And then, he might say, well, I'll, give you a donut and you can eat it after this.
So we didn't have that discussion.
And I'd say, yeah, right, cool. And here we are.
There's no
Just
prepared
kidding.
donuts.
That didn't happen.
But it's kind of an interesting point in situations where the Prime Minister, for instance, me in this situation, if for some reason I can't do Ask a Reporter, Amelia would have to step in and act on my behalf as the head honcho, as the PM. So basically that's the main role of the Deputy Prime Minister, is that they're taking on those responsibilities when the Prime Minister can't do it.
Yes, which brings us to, I guess, which you sort of answered this a little bit. Hayden said, from Atlantis Beach Baptist College as well, says, how important is it to have a Deputy Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Great question.
So, as we've talked about, it's definitely important. You need someone to represent the country in situations where the PM is, maybe really sick or is in a different country or for some reason can't do their job at that time. You still need someone who can represent the country. So that's a really important job. But a lot of the time, you probably won't have to do those kinds of things because the Prime Minister does spend a lot of time in Australia and is constantly working. So the amount of times you'd have to step up as a deputy PM probably aren't as big as you might think they are. I'd like to have a bit of a breakdown of how many days they're actually working as the deputy PM in an official capacity.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know, wouldn't it? All right, Louise from Junda State School says, how do the views of the Liberal and National Party differ? And that's a really good question,
That's really interesting. Well, obviously, well, not necessarily obviously. A big thing about the National Party is that they're very big on representing the views of people living in country or rural areas. So a lot of the time that means they want to represent how people there are feeling, so that could affect their policies and the things they want to put forward. So that might mean making better, more favourable laws or conditions for farmers, for instance. So I guess it depends on the different reasons their party bases are supporting them. So
Dwayne would like to know from Ellamore Vale Primary School. Hi, Dwayne. Thanks for your question too.
Thank you.
What does each party do?
Yeah. Well, the coalition at the moment is in government, so it's their job to make all the laws that basically govern our country, introduce new things. They're running the show. So in order to get things through Parliament, they need votes on both sides, both from the Liberal and the Nationals, to make that happen. So they need to work together. So as a coalition, they have to agree on some big major principles.
Which sort of answers your question, Luke, from Grace Staines Public School. What type of thing do both parties do together?
Yeah.
So they work together often.
I like to think that they hang out and they have a good time.
Yeah, well, hang on, Matt. You've just answered the next question too.
Oh, well done, me.
Michael from Modbury West School would like to know, are they friends or just work partners?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I imagine if we ask them, they might not necessarily say too much, or they'll just...
No, probably not.
No, but they probably are. Like, we work together and we're somewhat friendly. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? We could be friends. So...
Just kidding, we're friends.
Speaks for itself, really. But no,
we are. That is very true.
I would say,
friends.
honestly, because of these politicians, a lot of them have been doing it for quite a long time, and I assume that people, even if they're from different parties, have very different views, really know each other quite well, and maybe friends on a personal level, or have a bit to do with each other because they're going to similar engagements around the country or around their cities doing stuff in their electorate. So even if they're not necessarily working super closely together all the time, I imagine a lot of them have pretty good relationships and would be happy working together.
Maybe, like you were saying earlier, maybe they go bowling.
Maybe they do go bowling.
Yeah, maybe...
I like to think that's true.
Bowling.
I've never gone down to, knock over...
We've been bowling. We worked together and we've been bowling.
That didn't go well for me. I wasn't very good.
I wasn't very good either, though.
Yeah,
Was
see?
I?
That's
no,
why we're
not
friends.
Really. That's why we're friends. We're both
bad
terrible
at
at bowling. And several other things in life. But we do have a shared passion for food.
We do.
Which we'll get to later. Because some of you love to ask us questions. A lot of you like to ask us questions about food, which is great.
I, for one, do not encourage. No, I do. I encourage it all the time.
So some more serious questions now because we've got lots to get through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why did they change... This is from Enzo from St. Patrick's Asquith Catholic Primary School. Thank you so much for sending in your question and for tuning in. Why did they change the name Country Party to National Party?
It's a really good question, and I think largely it goes down to what that name represents. So saying the Country Party, most Australians don't actually live in the country. Probably around 3/4 of us live in major cities. So the capitals, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Canberra, Brisbane. I've listed as many capitals, Hobart, as I can think of off the top of my head, Darwin. So basically, Perth. Yeah, I didn't get to Perth. Basically, a lot of us live in major cities, and by saying we're the Country Party, and even though they are representing country views, they're potentially taking away some of those voters because people might think their views aren't represented.
Just about the country.
Yeah. So changing it to the Nationals, I guess, makes it a little bit more general, but they very much still are about enforcing those values that are important to them about supporting people in country areas. But they're not going to say, oh, don't vote for us because you're in the city. Of course that's not the case.
That'd be a bit silly.
Yeah, and lots of people who do live in cities clearly do vote for the National Party.
Now, June from Mount Waverley North Primary School, or June, I'm not sure. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Thank you so much for sending in your question. What was the biggest fight between the Prime Minister and the Deputy in history?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, so there have been lots of big things that have happened over the years. One of the really interesting ones that happened like federally, like on a national level, when the coalition first started in 1923 was that what was then the Liberal Party won the most seats, but didn't have enough to run the country on its own. But the Country Party, so now what's now the National Party, definitely it had quite a few seats. So they needed to kind of team up in order to form a government together. But the Country Party wasn't too pleased with who was leading what's now known as Liberal Party. So they said, I think you're going to have to change who that is, otherwise you don't have our support. So they ditched. They 100% got rid of the person who would then have gone on to be the Prime Minister.
Wow.
And
I'm sure there was a lot
of
discussion over that as well. I'm sure.
Yeah, which is a pretty big move to play if you're
isn't
forming a coalition. It's like, nah, not doing it unless some other guy's leading the country.
So that kind
really
of,
big deal.
touches on Alex's question, which is what would happen if the two parties strongly disagreed.
Yeah.
And Alex is from Atlantis Beach Baptist College.
It's really interesting. We are obviously don't get to hear the kind of conversations they have behind closed doors about, policy
In
decisions.
fact, it's a secret agreement, isn't it?
Secret agreement. We don't actually know, and they're not
has.
prepared to show it with us, to share it with us. So
Maybe
we
we could find it in a filing cabinet somewhere.
Good reference.
You guys know that story if you watched
Yeah.
BTN, you would.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
What's the question again? You
Oh, sorry.
distracted me with your filing cabinet.
What would happen if the two parties strongly disagreed?
Yeah, so they obviously work well enough together on a lot of major issues, but I bet they definitely do have some disagreements about things, and maybe in terms of the overall direction that they want to push certain things or areas they want to fund in the budget every year. So I'm sure there's a lot of discussion and not necessarily disagreement, but debate going on behind closed doors before they are giving kind of a unified front. So I'm sure there are disagreements, but for the most part, we don't hear about them unless it's, kind of a pretty big deal.
Why is the coalition called the coalition? And that's from Elmore Vale Public School from Cooper.
It's called the coalition because it's a coalition. So the coalition basically just means it's like two or more parties who have agreed to work together for a common cause. In this case, it's running Australia. So there are coalitions not just in Australia but around the world, and there are probably in other countries people doing Ask a Reporters right now talking about their coalition.
I lost a question because something happened.
Yeah.
No, you're all right, all good. But I can't remember who asked it, but it was a question asking whether or not there's a deputy in America's government.
Yes. There is a
I will find out who asked that. I'm sure you know.
There's a like in America's government, there's a vice president. Yeah.
So there you go.
So I assume they would have similar roles and responsibilities, but I'm sure there would be some differences because the way their government operates is a little bit different. But it's definitely interesting.
It is very interesting.
Do you mind if I take this off? Because I feel a bit silly that I've kept it on the whole time.
I was just about to say, Cooper just said, I like your cowboy outfit.
Oh, well, I'm not taking it off then. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll put my hat back on.
If you're a little uncomfortable, I mean, it's fine.
It's fine.
We'll allow him to take it off, won't we, Cooper?
I'm
keep it on for Cooper.
The rest of Ask a Reporter.
Well, something's gone a little awry, but we're going to work on that anyway. So, here we go. I can still see some of your questions here. All right. Yeah. So, just tell me if I've asked any of these, because something has happened. Sorry, guys. Sorry about this little technical glitch.
Difficulties.
So, all right, Georgina from Mark Oliphant College would like to know what will happen if, I guess, both the deputy PM and the PM are away or unwell.
Yeah,
it's a really good question. I think this wins best question, actually, because I really like it.
Great question. I really like it too.
Good job.
So, as we've talked about, the Deputy Prime Minister has the role of kind of looking after the country when the Prime Minister's away. But what happens if both of them can't do the job? Well, basically, there are still deputies or kind of backup leaders within the party. So
that's like if both of us are away.
If both of us are away, someone else could step in.
Yeah, they just wouldn't necessarily be as good as we are.
I'll take that for sure. No, so each party, so the Liberal Party and the Nationals, both have deputy leaders. So, or basically like a ranking of seniority. So, a little while ago, I think back in December, when Barnaby Joyce was no longer in Parliament and Malcolm Turnbull was away, Julie Bishop stepped in. And she was acting as Prime Minister for a little while there. So there's definitely a course of action if one or two or three or more are unavailable.
There's always going to be someone, basically.
There's always going to be someone.
No, never need to worry about that. So can you tell me... Oh, things are moving again. Why do we need a Prime Minister?
Why do we need a Prime Minister?
And that's from Alexis from Elmore Vale Primary School.
Look, I think
great question.
That is a very valid question. We have a Prime Minister to, I guess, represent Australia on a public scale, be the face of our country in meeting other world leaders, someone to lead the party and lead the government, and I guess be the main voice in making decisions that affect everyone. If you're doing anything in life, really, you kind of need a leader when you've got lots of people involved, even if it's just someone to kind of collect ideas and say, all right, based on this information, we're going to do this thing. So it's not going to be a situation where we have one person who's doing everything by themselves. The idea with the parties is that they're voting for a leader themselves, and if they don't like the leader, as has happened in recent years, parties can just get rid of them, and we can end up with 2 or 3 different prime ministers in a single term. So basically, they're the face of the party. They're the person chosen to represent everyone. So they're doing it with multiple people's ideas in mind of how things should be. So it's not one person going off like a lone ranger. Yeah.
I figured that was what you were getting at there, wasn't it?
Yeah, got there in the end, didn't we?
Okay, so why don't, perhaps they do actually, other countries have a coalition, and that's Lacey from Elamore Vale Primary School.
Yeah, so in this case, we have a coalition government, but we only have a coalition government at the moment because we have 2 major political parties, really. So we have the coalition and we have Labor. They get most of our votes. So sometimes we have a Labor government, and the coalition is still there, but they're not in power. So in the same way, there are lots of other countries around the world where I'm sure there are political coalitions, and coalitions there are in government, and some won't be. People work together to achieve an end where they have lots of agreements about how they should do it, basically. Some people might just disagree. There might be some smaller political parties that are like, nah, we can't stand with you on this. This is no good. We believe in our views and our views only. And, that's one reason why they're going to be independent. And some political parties just on their own are really powerful and get a lot of votes. So they don't need to necessarily work with other parties either.
That's true. Well, let's have a look at some slightly different questions.
Yes.
For instance, this is the part I always say is the most important part of Ask a Reporter when all the serious questions come.
Yeah.
This one is from Maria from Hillman. Since when did you start making videos for BTN?
Since when?
Since when?
Since when?
I love that. Since when?
I like making videos for BTN. I have been making videos for BTN for a while.
A while? Some period of time.
I've been working on BTN and some of the other shows we make, like our daily program, Newsbreak, for 7.5 years. I've been here for quite a long time.
Yeah, wow.
But I love making videos for BTN, and I really like getting to do this as well, answering your questions. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And it lets us be silly outside of doing stories.
And it lets us wear funny things like this.
Well, it's not funny. This is a
dapper,
serious outfit. This is how
like
I came into work this morning.
I think it's about time. If you're taking your outfit off, I might put mine on.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's
barely
fine.
fits over the braids. Oh, there we go.
That's good. That's a good look.
Thank you. Now, for more serious questions. Bella would like to know.
My serious face right now.
That was my serious voice clearing. Bella from Mark Oliphant College would like to say, what chocolate, now don't just answer this, what chocolate do you like? If you read this, you are the best. Yay. Thank you for reading this.
That is a great question. I love that question.
Well done, Bella.
You should,
I love that
you should answer that question first.
Okay, so are we talking like milk dark, like that kind of thing, or are we going for just like, because we probably
shouldn't advocate
advocate any particular brand. That's a fun thing for you to know in our job. So we don't really do that, but I can tell you that I quite enjoy dark chocolate sometimes, but also just like a milk chocolate with some kind of soft filling. Not like a caramel, but you know, like a
You don't like a caramel?
I do like caramel, but you know when it's like chocolate, but it's like a
it's more a bit fudgy almost.
Fudgy, a bit fudgy. Yeah, that's my favorite kind of chocolate. What's yours?
I like milk chocolate, and I like white chocolate. But if I have milk chocolate,
you do like white chocolate.
I do really like white chocolate. My stipulation with milk chocolate is that it has to be filled with something. So caramel is a good one.
Yeah, you love caramel.
Or cookies and cream, that kind of thing. But I really love white chocolate.
Do you like white chocolate with cookies in
I
it?
do.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like that
That's
as
the
well.
only time I think I like white chocolate.
Yeah.
All right, and so let's see what else we've got here. We have Charlotte from Mark Elephant College would like to know, what is your favourite emoji? And whichever one you pick, can you please put it on your faces? Thank you. Well, because you asked so nicely, we'll tell you what they are.
Yeah.
So should I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. Well, we'll see. Maybe we can see if our tech person can put it on our faces. But first, I'm going to do it. Ready? Oh, right. Can I just do the face on my own first?
Yeah.
Because Matt always says I'm really good at this face. I'm not sure if he's lying.
You are good at this face.
All right. See if you guys can guess. Ready?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
That's my favourite.
Yeah.
What's yours?
My favourite is the...
There it is.
Yeah.
Yay. And then what's my second favourite? My second favourite is this one.
Ooh. Yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah, that's so good.
That's so
there
cool.
you go.
I enjoyed that.
Me
that
too.
was great.
What a good question. Thank you, Charlotte. All right, now Harmony, that's a lovely name, would like to know, do you like waffles? I like waffles. Yummy waffles. You really like waffles.
Waffles are good.
I like waffles too.
I like salted caramel.
What would you have on your waffles?
Salted caramel, salted
caramel. That's it.
caramel.
Just salted
No,
caramel?
I might have a bit of cream. Maybe a bit of ice cream.
I'm a bit
I like
plainer
peanut
with
butter
my
flavoured
waffles. I mean, I don't really eat them very often, but who doesn't like waffles?
Everyone
I would
likes
say just strawberries and cream. Like, keep it simple.
Strawberries and
Maybe maple syrup. I love
Maple
maple
syrup
syrup.
is
Like
pretty good.
genuine Canadian maple syrup. The stuff that's
Maple
really from the
syrup.
trees.
And bacon
Yeah.
are two things that are very
nice
happy
too.
together.
Now I have, moving on from maple syrup and bacon, unrelated, although maybe related in some ways. If your mum, she might have made this for you sometime when you were a kid. What's your mum's name? That's from Harry at BPS.
Oh, that's nice. My mum will like this question.
My mum would like that question too.
Yeah.
It's very random, but I appreciate your strange questions,
My
guys.
mum's name is Joy.
Joy, that's a nice name. My mum's name is Elizabeth. Or Liz. There you go. Oh, there you
So
go.
is
A little
Daniel's.
birdie, Daniel. So
Yeah.
his mum's name is Elizabeth too.
That's cool.
Cool. Now I had a whole list of other fun questions. Can you spot any? Let's play the Can You Spot a Question.
Can you spot any other fun
I lost them all because they
questions?
were all lined up and then they've gone. Oh, guys, do you want to send us some more? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Erin has a joke for us.
Yeah.
But Erin didn't wait to see if we knew the answer.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you guys. What do you call a man in a pile of leaves? I'll ask Matt.
Can I tell you the answer?
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Russell.
Yes. Yes, it is. And
That's
I love it because Erin said from Mark Elephant College, dad jokes forever.
Yeah.
I agree. Who
Russell.
doesn't love a good dad joke? Am I right?
Everyone likes a good dad
Everyone
joke
likes
because
a
they're
good dad
silly and we all
joke.
laugh at them and roll our eyes, but we do actually like them a little bit.
We definitely do.
Mm-hmm.
I also have Neil, who's really like begging us to come to his school.
Oh, that's cool.
Karina's
We like visiting schools. Schools is fun.
Neil.
Mm.
I don't know where the school is though, but
Oh,
we really
I'm sure
appreciate the offer.
yeah, that's really cool.
And then I can't find any other ones. There was another one somewhere and I've lost it.
Oh,
guys, I'm the
no.
worst.
I've
Oh,
always
well.
said that. There.
Oh, here we go. Marissa
Yeah.
from Elmore Vale Public School. Just as our second to last question. Well, it's more of a statement.
Yeah.
Put the hat back on!
Oh.
2 exclamation marks.
I'm so sorry I took the hat off. That was very silly of me.
I love it. 2 exclamation marks. Put the hat back on.
Yeah. Done.
Cool. Also, we have a question about the volume, which we will look into for you next time. Sorry about that. That's Gordon, Mr. Anderson, I think. We will check that out for you. And our very last question, though, is Lily, who says, where did you buy the beret? I actually found it in our props room.
We have a props room
have
and
a
it's
props
very
room.
messy at the moment, but
It is
don't tell
so
anyone.
messy. Don't tell people. We just told everybody.
Oh no.
I was
It took me ages
silly.
to find this hat. When I say
took me
me,
ages to find
it
this
was
too.
Amelia found the hat.
I did. I found the hat. He was really struggling.
I gave up after I fell over.
He's not kidding. He fell over in the props room and fell
did.
into a pile of clothes.
I
It was
did.
very funny. Anyway, on that lovely final note,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us for Ask a Reporter
Yes,
again
that was fun.
this week.
Great questions.
Friday.
Happy
I hope
Friday.
you have a great weekend,
Happy
and a long weekend for some of you as well. So enjoy, and we will be seeing you next week for, drum roll, I can't remember what it is. Somebody tell me. Oh, what is it, Daniel? What's our story next week? Oh, I don't know yet.
Well, it's Ask a Reporter
Look, we'll
next
find
week.
it next week anyway. It's always
I'm
something
still doing
great.
the face.
Tune in. Bye,
Bye.
guys.